Welcome to another episode of last week's Comics Today. I am mostly feeling better. I have a light beaming directly onto my face because it's such a dreary day and there's like zero ambient light. But we're going to start. I've got a fresh stack of comics here. I believe this is the one that has the breasts in it. So I'm going to get this out of the way first. We're starting with Damn Them All, issue 9. And this is, I think, a great issue. Let me find something. Alright, I think we're good as long as I look at only the pages after this. So it's Charlie Adlard. I believe you are familiar with what his art style is and possibly even what this book looks like, but it's magic, so we get stuff like this, which is pretty insane. I mean, there's a lot to draw. Anyway, I was saying that this issue is in particular great. It has plenty of information and answers to questions, and it just outlines exactly what's going on, which is refreshing. It's not these vague teases about things that you might learn about in months ahead. It's just very solid, interesting, compelling, and great. It's just great. So, yes, recommended. This one took some effort. So this is the first issue of Knights, Wyatt Kennedy. I took notice of him when he was doing... Oh, shoot. No, I can't remember the name. Bolero. Bolero was last year's book that won Pick the Week for, I think, the 5 weeks that it was coming out. I really enjoyed the writing and the art, and this one... I love this panel. That's amazing. Anyway, I started reading this while waiting for my wife to make dinner, and then we sat down, started watching TV. I tried to continue reading, which was a mistake, and then once I got to the end, I'm like, well, I need to read this entire thing again because I don't fully understand what's going on. And the second time through, things did make more sense, and I will partially explain why. It's not just me trying to do two things at once. There's a lot of information, there are a lot of characters, and not all of them are as relevant as they first appear. I'll explain. So we start with this information that Florida is owned by Spain. It is irrelevant. That America has 31 states. Also irrelevant. This is important. Supernatural creatures are common and benign. That plays into the story. Similarly, we have a few characters. So this is Vince. He's on a plane. He's going to live with his cousin, Ivory. Ivory does not pick him up. Instead, we get Matt. Matt is Ivory's roommate. So we got three people. Vince, his cousin, Ivory, and Ivory's roommate, Matt. They're going to be living together. We meet a bunch of other characters on this train. He mentions, oh, she's pretty. I thought this was going to be relevant. I don't think she shows up again. So, various adventures happen. We get some cool art. We meet Gray, which is very strange, because she then has a conversation with someone named Gary, and then there's a conversation between two people, and their names are only one letter apart, and it's... I don't know why you would do that. I need to compliment the lettering here. I think this is particularly great, even if you don't fully understand what's happening here. And then on the very next page, I need to complain about the lettering, because this is what happens. So you read this, and then the lettering continues going up this way. The lettering should not go up. So I read this panel, and like a normal person, I then try to read it this way, and highly confused. I'm like, whatever. On my third time through, I'm like, oh, you're supposed to read up, which breaks every thing in my being. There's one other panel, a little bit later. This here, I still have no idea what's happening. So, I read it as this, and then this seems to... I have no idea what this... The first time through, I thought this person on the couch was on a phone, and I'm like, what is this in response to? I have no idea. And then this, similarly, it's very strange. Anyway, so the lettering is both good and bad. Anyway, we get some characters, we get some supernatural stuff going on, and one of the characters winds up dead. So there's there's a time jump, and then that's not explained either. Here's the time jump 5 years later. And then, suddenly just this font is different, even though we don't see him, and it is mildly addressed much later in the book. So at first I thought that was a robot, but actually it's this guy on the cover who is now a skeleton. He's just dead. Whatever. It's... If you put in some effort, if you don't treat this like a normal comic that you can half ignore and still understand everything that's happening, it's good. It's just, it takes a little bit of effort, and there are a couple of lettering things that are not great. Otherwise, I'm in. Fishflies issue 2, this is the corrected issue that I originally got a couple of weeks ago that had one page that was done in error and was supposed to be destroyed, but wasn't. I got a copy of it anyway. And before I even started reading this, I'm like, this is probably a mistake. I had the forethought with May's book. I'm like, it's a 5-issue series. I know how long it is. I know for certain there will be a hardcover. Once this is done, I can just wait for the hardcover instead of getting the single issues. For some reason, I didn't have that same thought process with Fishflies. It was 6, I believe it's now 7 issues. It is every other month, which means I'm going to be even more confused. I'm confused enough as it is waiting just 1 month between issues. Now I have to wait over a year to read the complete series. I feel like this was a mistake. I should just get out now. I don't know whether or not I'm going to. But, Fishflies. This issue also makes more sense than the first one. So we, which is a little bit weird because there's this whole thing with Faces of the Moon overlaid on top of this grieving mother, and there's possibly something weird going on with bugs, but all around it makes perfect sense. It, I think, makes more sense than the first issue, although the first issue had a man transforming into a giant bug. This one just takes that as baseline normal and kind of goes from there. So it's good. It's Jeff Lemire. It should be good. But maybe I should just wait for the hardcover. I don't know. Sandman. This is the Wesley Dodds, who I honestly have not read much of, if any. I am, however, a fan of Riley Rossmo. Venditti, I don't think I've really read enough for him to stick out in my mind as someone that I enjoy or not. I think, largely, I have enjoyed him. But again, he's not like one of the main writers that I follow. Anyway, I saw the promotional art for this, and I loved this cover, and I'm like, I think Rossmo's upped his game again, and this does have some really nice compositions. The art, I think, is usual for him. Layout game, that was off the charts, I think. What, there is one obvious thing. So Dodds is talking about the gas that he uses, and he's talking about this book and how many failures and nightmares and deaths, and I'm like, oh, that book is definitely being stolen by the end of this issue, which is exactly what happens. But he is trying to sell his sleep gas formula to the military. This one-armed guy has zero interest, and yeah, that makes sense. Also, somebody here shows up. I think I've already flipped through. These guys make an appearance. And I feel like, honestly, there's some mystery surrounding this, right? And I'm like, is this... Are they going to be fighting him? Is this actually Dodds in his own nightmare? Anyway. It's an interesting story. It is sort of Rocketeer-ish. And maybe that's just time period. But... you've got a dude, you've got his dame, you've got a, nightclub scene. It's pulp action. It's really fun. It's enjoyable. I'm adding this to my pull list, and I recommend it. Guardians of the Galaxy issue 7. I have not dropped this yet. 187. So, about a year from now, there's going to be some big anniversary, oversized, overpriced issue. I guess we have to look forward to / dread that. This issue has answers. It has, yes, things that they have been holding back since the very beginning, as far as Groot, Space, and Star-Lord's sister, and we get a picture of her here on the last page, and exactly what's happening with that. So this issue has a good chunk of stuff that I think, honestly, probably should have been in the first issue. But Groot Space sounds interesting, it sounds compelling, and the Guardians still exist, even though they are all Groots at the moment. So I'm still into it. It hasn't pissed me off to the point of dropping the book yet. But as I said, questions are answered, and we finally see things that have been teased now for the previous 6 issues. So this is solid. The Cull, issue 3, I really enjoyed issue 1. Issue 2, not as much. Issue 3 is back with full-on strangeness. We've got this cat lady, and her face changes at least once. So this is ordinarily what she looks like, and then at one point, well, she looks more human at one point until they tell her don't do that, and then she's got like predator mouth, and she's got laser eyes now, and basically what's happening is the place that they have gone to is changing them, and they are changing the place that they are in, and all of them decide we should get the hell out of here because nobody signed up for this, and it's good. I think there's only 2 issues left, so I really want to see where things go. I can't figure out. I'm going to wind up buying the whole thing, and I don't know if it's going to be good or not until the end, which is unfortunate. But this is a good issue. If you are curious, I'd say pick up the first issue. Except I think the first issue is a bit misleading as far as the rest of the series goes. So I don't know. Just hold on, I think, for now. Hold out. There will inevitably be a trade. It's Image. They make trades out of everything. So hold for now. Interrupted again, this time by sirens. It's not a good morning to be filming, apparently. But World's Finest, Teen Titans, issue 4. I believe this is a 6-issue series, and things are great. What starts out is Wally and Roy. You can see them there. Garth is also involved. They're having sort of a weekend at Wally's house, which is pretty great because they meet his parents, and Wally's parents don't know that he's the Flash, so they are trying to keep secret identities and powers a secret, and Garth eats possibly cheese for the first time and has a reaction. He also falls down the stairs, which I think is amazing. There it is. That's fantastic. I don't know the stairs where I come from. Yeah, it's weird seeing the 3 of them interact out of costume because it gets a little tense, and his parents are weirded out by Wally's friends, and then there's a fantastic moment where they come to Wally and they say, it's about your friend, he's a little weird. And they're like, no, Garth's fine. And they're like, no, it's not Garth, it's Roy, it's weird. And it's honestly fantastic. And if you remember back to issue 2, which hopefully you read, but it was the issue where they were separated, and you actually see Roy and his interaction or lack thereof with Ollie, and it's fantastic, and it makes absolute sense. There's also this side story with Karen and Mal, and there's another side story with Wonder Girl and Donna, and all of this is great. I love every second of it. Anyway, it's good, and I hope if this is a 6-issue limited series that it continues in some form, because it is fantastic. Lastly, there is the first issue of Midlife, or How to Be a Hero at 50. I don't know that they've announced how many issues this is supposed to be. I assumed it was a miniseries, but I don't know. The artist most recently was the current artist of Batman and Robin, and the writer, I know I've read something from him before, but he's also doing this for DC, so he's been active at DC for a while, and I don't know. He's another artist or another creator whose work I know that I've read, and I currently can't remember any of it. This, I will say that I very much enjoyed. It's kind of Unbreakable, if you ever saw that movie. It starts out back in the 90s, and then after a couple of pages of character establishment, we then jump forward to the present, where he is now turning 50, and thus the title. He's re-examining his life a bit, but we get even more information about what's happening with him. You might have just seen a spoiler if you were paying attention as I flipped, and it comes to this explosion at the very end, spoilers, where he 100% fine, not burnt. It's good. It just takes the entire issue to get to the point that I think we all knew was coming, which is fine. I'm gonna say it's fine. It's good. I will be adding this to my pull list. I would like it, I guess, the pace to be picked up in the next issue, but I want to see where this goes, and it's a good creative team. So those are all of the single issues that I got this week, but I also got this in the mail while I was out of town. Gable, longtime friend of mine, he had a sale back on his birthday, and then he sent me some things in the mail. So I got these. I probably won't be doing a video on these. This is awesome. This is a comic. I might wind up doing a video on this, but we'll see. If you're curious, check out his website. Also, so I got some other things in the mail this week. This, I think, was a sale that was going on back in August. I think there was a convention at the time, and Magnetic was like, hey, this is our greatest sale ever. And I'd been curious about Claw and Steamliner and Jolly Roger for years, and then I saw the prices on these. I think they were, for two, it was cheaper than the price of one, so I'm like, alright, I'm just gonna grab these. So I got all of these. I'm currently reading the second omnibus for 1990s New Warriors. I've got Sunday videos through the end of the month already shot and edited, and I'm working for November now, but I've got some weeks. I've got some lead time, so I can jump into an 1,100 page book without feeling the crunch of time. Anyway, I'll do videos on these at some point, but that is what came in the mail this week. As always, I get all of my books from a local comic shop. As far as pick of the week goes, what is... I'm going to say it's Knights, which is a little weird. You know what? It might be... Well, it's not Cull, I can tell you that. This is off to a great start. Knights, I think, is also great once I read it and understood it, so the second time. And this is also great. So 3 number ones. I'm giving... Yes, all 3 number ones get pick of the week. Anyway, so that is everything that I got this week. As always, I get all of my books from a local comic shop. If you don't know where yours is, you can use this URL to find the one closest to you. Thanks for watching.